Hey y'all, welcome back. I'll be going through 0% here for you with Nada's joining me as well. Thank you again for joining me, Nada.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're gonna be going through any percent, or excuse me, 0%. And I am doing a tile viewer. I don't know if Zinni got that up on his stream, but this is not really gonna be a legitimate run exactly, for two reasons. Because I'm using Spacetime stabilization on console, and the tile viewer obviously would not be legitimate to be running with. But I wanted to show off kind of what makes this run work, and so people could sort of like a crash course on the category. Crash course, almost like a tutorial, but a cross between a tutorial and demonstration of sorts. So 0% is low percent glitched, and there are actually I would say 3 versions of low percent glitched: 0%, 4% currently, and 12% is what I would call the 3 for that. And it depends on like what your standard for low percent is. 0% is different from 4% because 0% we will be getting a bunch of items, and then like going back to a different save, and then taking off items and all this different stuff. So you could argue that that's not in the spirit of low percent, because you know low percent is supposed to be the least items collected. But that's what 4% is the least items collectible and finish the game with glitches. That's not what this is. This is the lowest percentage. So I mean, there's gonna be different opinions on which one is truly low percent glitch, but I like the variety personally. Yeah, and 12% would be all bosses with glitches, with low percent and glitches. So if you want to count those as 0, 4, and then a separate for the all bosses, but I see them all under the realm as like low percent glitched, personally. What we'll be doing in this run, just to give you like a little overview, is the route. We will be going to Bomb Chorizo like normal. We'll save right after Bomb Chorizo, and if you want to be safe, you need to copy that save over when you do that. We'll be heading to GT code, and we'll be getting, that's to get all the items, either speed, and the main thing is X-ray and being able to get out of bounds. And then we're going to do that to manipulate out of bounds in this room, parlor, to set up the 127 power bombs block to grab power bombs with the save file right after BT. And from that, at that point, the game will play out on that save file. And we'll be going from 127 power bombs to pick up artificial Varia. We'll have to get X-ray, and we'll have to get X-ray before artificial Varia. And then artificial Varia, and then you remove items after you get high jump. And then you have to trigger the end of the game and trigger Sari Station again. So that's going to be the overall route. And I want to go ahead and spell that out a little bit, because once I get into actually doing those tricks, it might be a little harder to play well. I can get away with not playing great here and not just like crashing the run or something, you know. So it's like it's better to try to explain things now. I don't know if you know a bunch about the God block, but if you know any like technical details on that or anything like that, that would be helpful at some point, if not now or whenever.
Yeah. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about out of bounds and the tile viewer and what all is going on with that.
Awesome.
So if you look in the bottom right corner of the screen on Zenni's stream, you'll see this this display that is showing essentially it's what's really going on with the collision around Samus in the game. because it's almost like you had an X-ray scope on all the time that's showing you, what's really there, what's really going on. But the unique thing about this tile viewer is that it's allowed to follow Samus out of bounds, which the camera normally doesn't do. And in this game, when you go out of bounds, then you can get all kinds of weird things happening. Sometimes you end up wrapping around to another part of the room. Like if you once Zoast gets to the end of this flyway here, you should be able to see the left side of flyway wrapping around again. That's usually what happens if you go out of bounds on the right side. But if you go out of bounds below the room or to the left of the room or things like that, then you end up getting into other parts of memory that aren't actually supposed to be level data, and you can start just walking around in other parts of the game memory if you manage to get out of bounds there. So that allows us to encounter a lot of invalid block types, or block types that we wouldn't normally expect to see in that context, and some of them do really interesting and bizarre things. The most important one for the purpose of this run is the one that Zoast mentioned. It's called the God Block, and the reason why it's called the God Block is because touching it can do literally anything. This block is a special, it's actually a bomb block. It's a type of bomb block, and bomb blocks have a piece of metadata associated with them that says, what kind of bomb block is it? What should it do when Samus touches it? And this particular God block is a bomb block that has a metadata value that's way out of bounds. And so when you touch it, the game looks up in a table to try to figure out what should happen. It ends up reading the wrong value, and it ends up reading Samus's X position to decide what it should do. And it just goes and executes an arbitrary piece of code based on Samus's X position. So a lot of the setups in this run are going to be setting up a God block at the right spot out of bounds, and then navigating to it and touching it so that Samus's X position ends up pointing to a particular piece of code that we want to run that will give Samus items or take away items or something like that.
I have a request from you, Nada, if you're willing to hear it.
Yeah, what's that?
Can you explain Spacetime and the more like technical details of Spacetime before we get there? Because I'll be talking about like how I'm executing the tricks probably while I do them, and that's gonna be hard to do as is. So having that ahead of time would be nice. If you...
I sure can. So the Spacetime beam is one of a few different glitched beam combinations that exist. There's obviously, 4 different beams, not counting charge, and so that makes 16 different beam combinations, but only some of them are valid because you can't have Spazer and Plasma equipped at the same time. And if you end up having them both equipped at the same time, then what ends up happening is very similar to what happens for the God block. The game looks up in a table. It doesn't have entries in the table for those beam combinations, and so it looks somewhere out of bounds and ends up running the wrong code. In particular, for Spacetime beam, if you fire a shot with all beams except wave equipped, then the piece of code that ends up getting run is part of a routine that's supposed to handle updating Samus's palette. But this routine gets run in the wrong context and with the wrong parameters, and it's supposed to copy like a couple dozen bytes of memory from one location to another, and instead it ends up copying several thousand bytes. And this causes it to overwrite very large chunks of the game's memory, including a lot of level data and event bits. And so that ends up essentially like scrambling the contents of the room you're in, creating all kinds of weird invalid blocks to interact with, and also messing with event flags a lot, which is what lets you do things like going back to series or triggering escape sequences or things like that. It also overwrites the entire contents of the HUD, which is what causes ones to appear everywhere there. Oh yeah, I just saw Zenny in chat asking why do we see so many saves and resets around out of bounds things, and the reason for that is because the contents of out of bounds memory there's large portions of room data that aren't used by every room because rooms are different sizes, and the game oftentimes when you go out of bounds you have leftover data from previous rooms there, and so a lot of out of bounds routing, it's really important to pay attention to what were the previous rooms that you've been in. Saving and resetting is a way to essentially clear out all of the room memory, because the entire contents of the game memory is cleared when you reset the system, and that lets us put memory in a known good state. We can then navigate through the rooms that we want to be loaded into memory, and then we can end up in a situation where those leftover unused bits of memory contain the data that we want instead of some garbage.
Did you talk about the instability of Spacetime?
I can do that too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, one of the things that Spacetime does is it's doing this big copy of thousands of bytes of random parts of memory, and some of the memory addresses that it references, some of the locations that it tries to copy, are from memory that doesn't actually exist. It's essentially the way that the game works is that some memory is mapped to the SNES's internal RAM, some of it is mapped to the game cartridge, some of it is mapped to the save RAM in the game cartridge, some of it is mapped to peripherals, so there's certain memory regions that control what shows up on the screen. There's memory regions that store controller input, things like that. But there's also some memory addresses that just don't exist. And when you end up trying to read from them, what happens is the CPU in the SNES puts out a request saying, hey, I would like the contents of this memory. And normally, whatever device inside of the SNES owns that memory will respond with the contents. But if the SNES CPU tries to access memory that doesn't exist, you get a situation called open bus, which is where the SNES asks for an address and it doesn't hear anything back. And due to the way the hardware is constructed, usually what ends up happening in this situation is you get the contents of the last piece of data to be transferred over the memory bus. Essentially, the bus ends up behaving a little bit like a memory cell, and just kind of tends to retain whatever value was sent across it last time if nobody was using it. So if the CPU puts out a request and doesn't get anything back, it just goes with whatever was on the bus last time. And in the context of Spacetime, this value should always be 0, because the instruction that does this invalid memory read ends with a 0, and so the last byte of that instruction is the last value to be transferred over the bus, so you should always get a 0. Except in a really specific edge case where the SNES's video hardware tries to access memory in between the CPU fetching that instruction from memory and actually executing that instruction. If that happens, then the video hardware reads memory and you end up with a different value being transferred over the bus, and you get the CPU getting a non-zero value from this read. And in that situation, that non-zero value can sometimes crash the game. The reason why this part specifically happens in heated rooms is because heated rooms have this table of scroll offsets that the video chip is constantly reading from in order to draw the heat wave effect. And so there's much more of these video reads happening and a much higher chance of this edge case happening and causing this open bus behavior. The reason why this specifically happens on original console and not on some emulators is because this is like such a really specific hardware edge case that only the most accurate emulators are even aware of this and even try to replicate this behavior, because it's just a really weird edge case of how the system behaves when you're putting it into all these conditions it was never designed to be running in.
I'm playing this really safe, by the way. High jump and the save. Normally I would go for the newfangled high jumpless Kago strat, but I wasn't super confident in it.
Yeah, I don't believe we've seen any out of bounds or any major glitches yet, Shuck. So far, we're we're seeing something pretty similar to a standard GT Spacetime run where we're just going to try to go to Golden Chorizo and get some items. And then after that is where we're going to really start breaking the game apart.
I'm going to show off here some more foreshadowing. I'm going to show off not the quickest way to do the space times back to the ship, because I want to do an exhibition. Well, first of all, I don't normally go for the big wrong warp from screw attack to the ship in my runs, because it's very unstable on actual console. But I could definitely do it right now with the stable Spacetime ROM, which will not crash the game with Spacetime unless you really do something that you weren't supposed to do. It won't like randomly crash with this ROM. But I wanted to show off a few Spacetimes that I found that weren't actually helpful, just because otherwise they'll be lost, or I don't know. I think they're cool. That's all. Really, that's the main thing. I just think they're cool. And I've been doing a lot of my old any percent glitch Spacetimes for my 0% runs, which has been fun. Overall, it's probably not that much better than the chance of the big wrong warp crashing, but it might be a little bit safer. But I'm going to show most of those off, and oh my goodness, and a few that aren't really useful, but one of them would be actually faster for an emulator run of this. So that one actually is useful, but one of them is just not really that useful, but I want to show it off anyway. A wrong warp. Here we go, Spacetime. So it's all beams except for wave, and depending on if you just like shoot a shot, that will do a Spacetime. If you hold a charge and then switch to like missile or super, that'll do a Spacetime. And depending on how, it seems like depending on which direction you shoot the missile or super after that will cause a different Spacetime to be, I guess, what would you say, spawned, whatever. But
yeah, Spacetime behavior is very variable depending on initial conditions.
So here we create basically an out of bounds and then roll into a door transition. You can't really see it on the tile viewer after the Spacetime if we don't change rooms, which is kind of a quirk of this tile viewer. But the second one that I do is right here, and your foot barely touches the. But one thing I found is like I normally used to like just hold down and missile after the charge shot, or the charge, and then switch over. But I found that if I extended my hitbox, then I could cut down the Spacetime routine to 1 frame, and that makes this more stable. You have to hold right there to go into this next room, else you'll soft lock. We'll be doing another one down from Lava Dive, and that one was Leorin's. I think I found all the other ones, but I mean, not that they're that useful anymore, but except for the GT Escape. But there will be one dropping out of Lava Dive here, and you want to shoot the shot right when if you aim up, you shoot a missile up right when the top of your arm cannon aligns with the bottom of this ledge. You can just neutral here into the door. Here I hold left and spring ball typically. And when you shoot doors out of bounds, and this applies for multiple different categories, typically it seems like you want to shoot angle shots. I'm not sure why that is. For some reason, straight ahead shots don't seem to hit the doors when you're out of bounds and trying to hit a door to get back in bounds. There's another Spacetime here. I don't go for this one in runs, but with the Spacetime stability, I can show it off. This one saves a couple of seconds in frog speedway. And I'm gonna show off a wrong warp that I found. There's a bunch of potential wrong warps that could be found in this game. So this is intended to be like, look at the kind of stuff that could still be found. Like, Spacetime has limited usability, so I don't know if any of them could be usable. But there's still there's a huge map of wrong warps that Total and like ED and other people, what would you say, collected, and it's largely unexplored, and part of that is just totaled so awesome and found like the most badass wrong warp that you could find as far as usefulness goes, like immediately. But you know, I want to go for a kind of a funny trick that's not useful at all, but super swag. Here's the wrong warp. You have to be backed up all the way against that to get into the door there, the out of bounds door. Hey. All right.
Nice.
Sort of a super swaggy trick that I was laying in bed and there was another Spacetime right after that, but I couldn't get it to work for some reason lately. And I was laying in bed last night and my mind was racing about like how I'm gonna talk about this run and, you know, go about everything. And I was like, I had that idea to do that Shine Spark. I was like, oh yeah. All right. This one is super unstable. Like, I don't know if you could actually do this on console, but it should work on emulator, and it's a little bit faster to get into the out of bounds. Normally, in runs, people will use the deep stuck Shine Spark going from this room into parlor to get into this next wall. But I found a way to get into a Spacetime, but it's super jacked up. Now you want to jump here after you turn around from the wall, and you have to press down immediately after you shoot just a normal Spacetime beam. Otherwise, she won't be able to X-ray in the next room. Like, she'll get kind of stuck. Something about her hitboxes when you crouch or whatever. Alright, now we're going to climb up here. This is the part where we're going to manipulate the God block to where we can get 127 supers while we have X-ray, and we don't have X-ray in the actual save file we want to use doesn't have X-ray or anything that we can use to manipulate this God block.
Yeah, so one of the weird things about X-ray is that if you use X-ray while off screen, it corrupts memory. Not actually out of bounds. You can even do it inbounds in big enough rooms. But essentially, if you go far enough off screen, then when you activate X-ray, it writes a value to a somewhat arbitrary section in memory. And one of the things we can do with that is just create a block wherever we want in the room if you go to the right spot out of bounds and use X-ray there. And so Zoast is going.
Yeah, sorry to jump in here. I wanted to talk about something real quick. There's actually like a ledge here that if you X-ray, it kind of changes it. Like you can, there's like a bridge that gets formed here in these blocks. I guess they're like the pink garbage blocks or whatever. But like right now it's not here. But if I X-ray and turn to the right for just a little bit, it's there now. The bridge is there. You can see I can't get up. Although I can X-ray up. I think I can X-ray jump. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck, but I can fix it real quick here. But that's why I did this random kind of looking X-ray. Oh no! All right, I did it now. All right. Too much messing around. It's okay. I'll get back there pretty quickly, I think. I have a backup here. Normally, I made this backup here because if you mess up after doing Spacetime and you save after doing Spacetime to sort of do a backup save, you will re-trigger the intro sequence, and that's bad if you want to get back here quickly, you know, for these purposes right now. So that's my backup save here to avoid that having to happen. I'll just do this real quickly. Also, that point after that bridge, I'll go ahead and talk about what I was about to do. There's a setup to where you can barely see Samus to the right, and I like moonwalk off screen. There's a more convoluted setup to get to where you need to go initially in that room. In the 0% tutorial on the Wikipedia, our speedrun Wikipedia for the SM, which has very good documentation by Chabo, as in for both like some of the basic history of the run and how to execute the run. That's what I largely learned from, even though I had to figure out a few new things and some additional optimizations and stuff. I had to change a few things because of playing on console. There's a couple things a little different, but yeah, there's a sort of a there's a jump I do right there where you can barely see Samus, and then you run to the left, and you jump right after Samus goes off screen, visible screen that you can see, and you'll land. You just sort of like do a spin jump and let go of the D-pad, and you'll land on the platform above, and then you can jump up to the left wall. So you'll see that when I get back up there. Right, sorry about that, Nod.
All good, all good. Yeah, no, you're the one who like actually knows this route and stuff like that, so feel free to interrupt me anytime. I know a lot about the tricks, I know a lot about the technical details, but I don't know anything about what you're actually trying to accomplish with it and when you have interesting things to talk about, so.
I'll feel bad cutting you off, but I'll try to not feel too bad about it. Try to do it as cleanly as I can, But thank you so much for explaining the sort of like the technical details. Not as saying that I know the route, and, but I really can't explain some of the whys for this. It's like one of the things that I don't know all the technical details, so it's super helpful to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn off Spacetime so I don't accidentally Spacetime here and when I don't want to, because that will ruin things quickly. We'll need Morph Ball here in a minute. So I'm out of bounds. I'm going to go ahead and trigger that bridge. And like I said, I'm going to set this up to where I can barely see Samus go off screen. And I'm going to run and jump to the left right after I get off screen. And if you fall down, sometimes you will hit the right side of this platform I'm standing on, fall down. You can just turn around and go back. Sometimes you can make the mistake where you fall off the bottom of that top sort of mountain below us. And there's nothing down below that you have to be too concerned about. You can sort of wall jump back up if you're prepared to do that. But we're going to make our way up. You got to watch out for the door tiles, which are the sort of like pinkish blocks on the input, or the tile viewer. But you have to do this blind, sort of. I mean, you can sort of see her here. I do 3 wall jumps to speed this space jump up a little bit. And then you're going to bonk. You can kind of count how many times she wraps around screen. You're going to bonk here. Go a little bit to the left. I'll do another 3 wall jumps to speed it up a little bit. And you have to watch out for this red thing. The door behind you. So you want to not wall jump check it. So if you just press right there, you will wall jump check the door transition and probably soft lock in the next room. I think it takes you somewhere bad. But yeah, we want to get up. The position we want to get up to is up here. There is a slope tile that I'm on right now. So when you shine spark up there, you want to do a standing shine spark. And you don't want to hit any of these 2 door transition tiles. So you kind of want to know where your X position is and do a standing shine spark. It's not a big deal if you do a crouching shine spark, but you will bonk. I'm pretty sure you bonk this slope tile underneath me. Now this is the pixel that we need to be at here. You will see maybe 2 pixels of the top of her gun, and there is 1 pixel in the middle of her arm cannon to the right of it. And the background tiles, you can see it's like a faint teal, greenish teal pixel. You should be able to see that on the right side of her gun. That'll be the pixel. X-ray downwards. This should be, as far as I know, manipulating the God block to give us the power bombs later. Now here you run against these blocks and you do an X-ray turnaround. You need to do this X-ray turnaround for a specific amount of time, or one of these blocks will crash the game when you come back here on the other save file. So you want to basically X-ray turnaround for about a second, maybe a little less. And then to get out of bounds, we're done with the manipulating the out of bounds area. To get out of bounds, you want to do specifically, you really want to do this one is very important. You want to do a crouching shine spark here in this position. And that will hit the elevator or the door here. If you do a standing spark there, you will get soft log coming into this room. And from that point, we're going to die. And the reason we're going to take a death here is because if you go back to the intro scenes, it's going to change that out of bounds area. And we don't want that. And for the same reason, we want to not press go to title here. Now, if you just do one save, if you don't do any like backup saves or safety saves to this point, you should just have the one save after bomb trees, and you can just spam yes, I believe. But here we are going to press yes. We are going to still press yes, but from this point we back out to the menu. So this way it avoids going back to the intro sequence, the attract mode, I guess you would call it. But yeah, we go back to the file menu, and we're going to select this file, and this is going to be the one we're going to play for the rest of the run, hopefully. So we're back in Parlor, or close to Parlor, and that's where we want to get out of bounds to get our 127 power bombs. But to get out of bounds, since we don't have X-ray or we don't have speed booster, we're going to want to do a door skip here, and that's going to get us out of bounds. And then we're going to wrap around out of bounds a bunch of times. Maybe you could explain the door skip better than me.
Yeah. So essentially, it's not possible for Samus to collide with the door on the same frame that the game finishes brightening after unpausing. So what Zoast is going to do is he's going to unpause and do the setup so that he tries to hit the door at the bottom. Like that time he didn't quite get it. He ended up hitting the door transition, but he's going to try to be able to move through the door transition on the same frame that the game finishes unpausing. And if that works correctly, then he'll fall out of bounds. The reason that works is because there's a game state variable that tells the game there it worked. This variable tells the game what it should do on the next frame, and when you touch a door, it sets this variable to say, hey, do a door transition on the next frame. And when the game finishes unpausing, it says, hey, stop brightening on the next frame. And if both of those things happen on the same frame, then the unpause overrides the door, and you just fall right through the door like that.
Normally I would use the music here at a time when I would jump up to the next platform and you can't see her. But I will admit I'm just watching the tile viewer at this point, so I can get there as quick as possible. Do the optimal sort of monoballs here. It's not bad. It's really not bad to do this part at all blind. Really, none of the blind movement is too bad in my opinion. It's kind of intimidating at first to learn, but there's nothing too scary in this run once you learn it. It is a lot to learn, though. I will admit that for sure.
Always asking about why the moonfall is needed in chat. It's because.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's because you need to pass through the door tile in a single frame, because if you are in contact with the door tile for 2 frames, then the unpause will happen on 1 frame, and then you just hit the door again on the next frame, and the door transition will happen normally. So the moonfall lets us build up enough speed that we can pass entirely through the door tile in a single frame. It's kind of similar to how if you get going even faster, you can pass all the way through a whole tile. But here we just need to be able to go through essentially half a tile in 1 frame.
Yeah, there's a way to do it without using Moonfall. One of the reasons I was really attracted to the Moonfall version for this is that you have to do this later with Moonfall. You have to do the same trick with High Jump, and that would change the calculus on the other method, like the frame that you have to unpause and all this stuff. With a Moonfall, it's consistent with High Jump or not High Jump, how you execute it. So I thought that would be better.
Yeah, if anybody's wondering, in order to do it without a moonfall, you have to frame perfectly extend Samus's hitbox on the frame after the door script would have happened. To do the same effect of being able to get her a few more pixels down in that next frame so she doesn't hit the door tile twice.
All right, so once you've wrapped around a little bit more than one time all the way up the screen and emerge back visibly, you will get to this point where it looks like she's standing on this sort of where the door is. Obviously, we're not actually standing there, but this is where you want to arrive at, and then I'll just go through the method, even though this is on the Wikipedia, the 0% wiki, under the alternate method, I think matrix method. But we're gonna go left and hug this, and I'll just explain what a bunny hop is real quick. Bunny hop is you hold angle and both angles, and you can full jump one way or the other, and it gives you a consistent amount of distance because the angles stop you from moving otherwise. So we're gonna do full bunny hop to the left, and then you're facing left. We're gonna do a bomb jump to the right. It's not gonna be morphed, so we're gonna morph. We're gonna bomb, unmorph, turn to the right. All right, and then from here you turn left, jump and turn right, turn left, and then do a full bunny hop to the left, and that will hit the god block the right way apparently, and give us 127 power bombs. And you will hold right out of the transition, out of the item fanfare, and you should hit a door to landing site. Out of bounds. Alright, now we're going to fall on a transition block. I'm not sure why there's some transition blocks out of bounds that don't actually transition you. But the thing that this does is if you do hit a transition after touching this one, it will soft lock the game, and Nada could probably explain that better than me, but I got to make sure I actually pause the game. And to fall down here, you're just going to do a auto spin jump to the right. You jump out of the block, face left, or however you want to do it, but I do an auto spin jump to the right, let go of the D-pad, and then before too long you want to unspin and face to the left. Oh, should be fine. Unspin and face to the left, and we should hit a sort of a spike block, and it's going to propel us to the right. On console, you have to watch out, because right here, if you just run off to the left or roll off to the left, you will crash the game. That's not the same way on emulator. On emulator, the blocks below me will just not be there, I think. It'll just be like an empty matrix of blocks. I'm not really sure the reason for that either. The TLDR is you have to bomb jump over to the left here if you're on console. And we're just going to work our way down to a door transition as quickly as possible, sort of. And Nada, you can take it if anything you want to add.
I don't think I have anything in particular right now. I guess we did just see that we got a ton of power bombs all of a sudden. And what happened there was Zoast.
I don't know why it crashed there. My game's been crashing sort of randomly, and I don't know why, so I'm sorry about that. Like, there's no reason for it to crash there. I thought it was my firmware, because I installed firmware to be able to play Game Boy games, like Super Game Boy, through STC SNES. And I changed it over this morning, and I thought that would fix it, but I don't think it did. So hopefully I can get through this run, because that's really unfortunate. There's no reason for it to crash there. We were getting close to a save too, which is pretty epic. So apologies.
Yeah, so the deal with getting those power bombs there is that god block is at a specific X position so that it jumps into the middle of the routine to give Samus power bombs. I don't remember the exact details about why it's 127, but what happens is we jump into the middle of the routine instead of the beginning of it, and specifically we skip setting Samus's max power bombs. We just set her current power bombs to 127. And like that's part of the reason why it's 127 is because we're jumping into the middle of this routine with invalid data, and whatever just happens to already be in registers or in the right memory locations is what gets set there. And yeah, setting power bombs to 127 in that way means that Zoast can use 127 power bombs, but that they don't count toward his item completion percentage because he still has only 0 power bomb capacity. It's also a little bit risky because if he ever picks up a power bomb drop the rest of the run, the game is going to notice, oh, wait a minute, you have capacity for 0 power bombs, you're above your maximum, and it's going to reset his power bombs to 0%. So he has to be really careful never to do that.
Fortunately, we gotta go all through this again. That's the worst part about this, is that we have to wrap around the screen a million times again. I hope it doesn't happen during the 11 screen X-ray climb. That's what I really hope doesn't happen. I mean, if push comes to shove, I can finish this on the practice hack, but I really wanted to... You can't, like, the practice hack can't actually finish the game fully, because the intro taking away your last missile doesn't work on practice hack, so... But I can do it. I can do the best I can do, you know?
Is the God block still there if you have to reset like this?
You're a genius. You're correct. I'm almost sure you're correct.
Because I think that, yeah, you had to be careful not to go to the menu earlier, right? Because you had to be sure that the game didn't reinitialize memory.
Yes. Well, that sets us back even more. Thought about just going down and showing the big wrong warp. Yeah, nice catch for sure.
Yeah, glad we figured that out earlier, but too bad we have to go back even further. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Like I said, if we have problems, I'll just I've got a lot of sort of states saved as ROMs in the practice hack for this category, so I can show off the rest of the ROM a different way, but it would have been a lot nicer to do it this way. We won't have the GCC sprite either if I do that. But... Yeah, very shoutouts to Anne Funny, I believe, who did a lot of this sprite work. It's really cool stuff. Can't press left too early there. If anybody ever tries that, it's bad news.
To answer the questions in chat, I think that power bomb count is actually usually stored as a signed 16-bit integer, so it would be the range negative 32,768 to positive 32,767. I could be wrong about that. It could be 8-bit, but I'm pretty sure it's 16. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly where the number 127 comes from. I was looking at it a little bit. It might have something to do with like Semus's subpixel positioning, since some of that data ends up getting fed into the God block routine. But I don't know the answer to that at all. I think Neen did an investigation into that recently, so they might know the answer to that.
I think my console is just tired of me doing all this crazy stuff with it. It's just like, I'm getting tired, boss. Just ordinary, normal Super Metroid gameplay here. It's pretty tough if you drop the space jump here. You can wall jump to start it over again, but that's a little tricky. You have to know exactly where you're at, you know? A little dicey. As soon as you see the X-ray pointed down, you should be good to go there. The 2 extra turnarounds there keep you from clipping through that block when you descend. Yes. Back. Alright, let's cross our fingers.
All right, God block should be there.
Oh, I thought I had it first try. You have to turn around to the left there, by the way, or it won't work. I forget that. It's something to do with the pose. The wall jump check pose doesn't work there. Yeah. Something to do with wall jump check pose, I think. I don't think it's like a frame, super frame specific. Like it shouldn't be that difficult to do that part. Just make it a little bit more complicated. The worst part is definitely timing this on the correct frame, because it's frame perfect. Pause.
Yeah.
Nice thing is you can hold right out of this. Oh, that wasn't it. It seemed close. Now there's 4 of these door skips, same door in this route, so if you wanted to grind something in this, that wasn't it either. I wonder if I was too late there. If you wanted to grind a trick in this category to get good at it, it's probably the one you'd be grinding the most since there's so many instances of it. It does take some time to keep setting the room back up and all that. It's early again. Oh, it wasn't. Ah. The crash is making me nervous. The random crash. Ah, it seemed good, but I unspun for some reason. So that's Eddie's fault. I think that's too late. I'm not gonna try that. Oh. Sorry, y'all. I was hoping this would go a little bit more smoothly.
Oh great, Neen's here. Yeah, Neen ran a really good investigation into the details of very nice. But yeah, into the details of exactly how the God block works and why you get exactly 127 power bombs and whatnot.
Classic marathon look. Seriously. I mean, this one is not too bad, actually. It doesn't take too long to do this. I feel like the perception of watching something can be a little different when you're doing it. You're involved in actually executing it.
All right, we got our power bombs.
Get that save out of the way. We don't want to soft lock here. I don't want to be responsible for a soft lock. Alright, we're just going to fall in there and book it to the save station.
Very nice.
Nah,
very
hit
nice.
one of those. Those hit like a truck when you don't have any suits. So you gotta be careful when you go through that room if you're not, if you like get hung up or whatever, because I believe they do move off screen.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Go, 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 go! Yeah! Alright,
Nice. Let's go.
let's go. Progress. We love to see progress.
Oh, is this the save that you said to remind you of before high jump, or is that later?
No, it'll, so we gotta get X-ray and then artificial Varia, and then we'll go down to where I was talking about.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm gonna need some, oh.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm gonna need some, oh. Where am I? Don't have much energy for this. You can do the opening like the sort of normal randomizer way of doing this. That's the way I do it. Do my old way of doing the skip.
Yeah, Zoast also has to be really careful not to pick up a PB drop from the fire fleas in this room.
That's part of the reason why I don't want to change my strat there, or I think you can pick up like fire flea drops on the way in, but there's no real reason to do that when you have non-health bomb health. We're gonna get to health bomb health, and then that's gonna be actually helpful to get out of here without accidentally picking up a power bomb. We
Makes
can't
sense.
take any hits off of the spikes, this is the diciest part, but we gotta wait for the waiver to come to the left and then to the right, and we're gonna use that waiver in another one that's a little bit to the right after that to get through here without hitting a spike. Without taking damage from a spike, maybe I should say. Ah, that's not it. Alright, well.
Aww.
We're just going to show everything that can go wrong with this run while we're at it. We're going to really showcase this off. Luckily, that's a pretty quick reset.
Yeah, just saved.
I think some of these bugs, the ones that I believe come out of the pipes or the flowers, can drop you power bombs, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So you really don't want to be farming out like 2 or 4% chance in case that they decide to drop you a power bomb.
Yeah, that's a good question in chat. Why do the fire fleas drop power bombs if you have 0 power bomb capacity? And I guess the answer is because they check and see that your power bomb count is not equal to your power bomb capacity, but I don't know the answer to that for sure. Zenny, I'm not 100% sure. It probably has to do with whatever routine initializes the HUD. It just sees, it looks at your power bomb capacity to decide whether or not to draw power bombs. It says you don't have any power bombs, and so it doesn't draw any. Yeah, so like for grapple and X-ray, it would say, oh yeah, you have these items, we'll draw the HUD, but for power bombs, it probably says you don't have any power bomb capacity, let's not draw power bombs. Oh, no.
I'm supposed to deboost there to the right off of that one. That's gracious.
Yeah, so that was what we were mentioning earlier. If you pick up a power bomb while your max power bombs are 0, then the game says, oh, you have more power bombs than your maximum now. Let's set that back to 0. And yeah, Zoast got a power bomb drop from a fire fleet.
I'm still blaming that random crash for everything that happens from this point on. Took me out of my element.
Yeah, you don't realize until you're trying not to collect drops just how absurdly big the drop hitbox actually is.
Oh my god. It's such a weird thing to do too. It's like not your instinct at all to go out of your way to avoid a drop. Concerning thing for me, I think I had 51 health, so I would have died if I would have hit a spike. So you can't touch the drop, but you can't fall on the spikes either. So it's a pretty bad situation, honestly.
Yeah.
Pray for me, y'all. Right.
Alright, waivers be nice. And fire fleas be nice.
Alright.
Let's go.
Now, normally I would wait till Parlor to save, but I'm gonna immediately save because of what happened. The random crash.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Basically save as much as possible from here on out because of that. Well, maybe not literally. I'm not gonna save at the ship between here and Parlor. I shouldn't really need the ammo and energy here.
Marathon safety.
Yeah. This next traversal for Artificial Varia, you drop 4 screens. And I was doing the thing where you blindly drop on that spike that knocks you to the right. And that costs you like 20 health or something. I can't remember. But you needed the health to get through there with that. But I started doing a moonfall here instead, which just kind of like getting to the right. So I'm not actually taking any damage now. It's traversal. Unless I missed the moonfall or whatever on one of the passes. Still just gonna go ahead and save here as well.
Makes sense.
That's a good question, Mel. I'm not sure if it would or not. I don't know. Sure.
Yeah, because it doesn't like the ship doesn't just set your your ammo to max. It like increments it until it reaches the max. So the question is, does it say, "Oh, your ammo is greater than the max. We're done," or does it just increment it until it wraps around and then becomes negative, and then keep incrementing it until it becomes 0 or something like that?
All right, now we're not going to go all the way. We're not going to wrap around a bunch here. We're going to line up basically to one tile to the right of this platform, the visible platform. It's not actually there, but and we're going to bomb jump up. What we're aiming to do here is just to get to a door transition up here. We want to be in landing site out of bounds, but this is the way we get there.
Yeah, right now we're going for artificial Varia so that we can survive out of bounds in Norfair, if I understand this correctly.
Correct. Somebody asked me the last time I was streaming this, why don't you go to Crate and get Varia? I just dropped that. Well, the item removal doesn't remove your miners, I believe. Not entirely sure about that, but we're trying to avoid getting supers, and you have to have supers to go to Crate, so that's the reason. That's the reason we go get artificial Varia through this convoluted method here.
That makes sense.
So you want to land almost a little bit above where that visible platform is. And then you want to jump into the left block above you. We're going to do a full bunny hop to the left and then hold right into the transition. It should put us on top of the door to the right. Out of bounds. Alright. At this point, what I usually do is I just check my position here so I know where I'm at. Jumping up and seeing the visualization. So the left side of the screen is essentially where you're going to be dropping. And what I do is I run off to the left, quickly face right to the wall, line up to the wall, and then I do a slight left movement out of the fall to land on a block. So landing on a block here, and then this is where I'm going to fall. You have to be careful about, there's a door there, or a transition there. So when I'm spinning, coming down, I let her spin for eight whooshes, like, and then I morph and go right until I can see myself. And that avoids hitting that transition block. We're gonna go down 4.5 times. So this is 1. And when I roll out of that tunnel, I hold left, so then I know where I'm at. The next time I don't have to like jump and see where my position is because I know I'm at the edge of this cliff. So I'm gonna concentrate on this for a minute and counting how many times I've gone down and all that. Oh, see, I missed the thing, so I should be able to just hit that block and go down that way if you miss the moonfall or miss landing on the thing. It's 2. The previous run, Pion Kishi, I believe is the name, a Japanese runner. Instead of trying to avoid those crash blocks like I do, I was telling you about, you bomb jump over. They went to a block shuffler out of bounds, like a separate out of bounds to set this up. So I basically eliminated that by traversing this without doing that. But shout outs to them for doing it on console. I think Matrick did it on console a long time ago as well, but yeah, there's a lot of people that worked on it. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with MU, but there were some additional difficulties on console here. This should be 4, right? I think so. I like to just land on this here, so I kind of know where I'm at. There can be some garbage to the left there if you just fall through. I don't think everything is always shown. This tile viewer, like, for instance, this block is just not shown for some reason, or I don't see it. Oh, I see it now. It's just faint. Okay. I'm just blind. Alright. So 4.5. We're going to stop short here. We're just going to hold right here until we go up against the wall. And we land. Alright, now at this point you got to be kind of careful to not x-ray the wrong way because we're going to be manipulating sort of the out of bounds here while we're here. X-ray and hold down for quite a while until you see the X-ray flashes pop up. And once you see the flashes, you're going to press tap up again until they kind of go off screen. Barely go off screen, and you hold up for a second and let go of it. Now we're going to try to clip through the top of this hill to the right, because you can just kind of walk into the wall, or like the top few blocks. And we're going to just sort of, the way I do it is I have a visual cue, like right here, at that crook in the wall to the left, the top of my head, and then do sort of like a ledge grab on the top there. Oh, I was a little low. Okay, that should be good. If you see your feet at all, this is very good as far as like the feet are a little bit into the screen, but if you can just barely see the bottom of her feet, it still should be good. So you walk to the right, and when you follow through, you want to immediately hold left. This is all in the Wikipedia, by the way. You do a morphed bomb jump to the right. Okay, turn around left, morph bomb jump to the right. At this point, you do a jump turnaround, and then you X-ray and hold down. And I don't know if you'll see any of the changes in the tiles here, but probably not in this tile viewer. In the practice hacks tile viewer, you can actually see some changes here below you. Alright, you let go after you see the flashing and just hold left against the wall. Do an unmorphed bomb jump to the right. Hold jump, like do a neutral jump and hold jump, and do an auto jump to the left. Let go and then press shoot when you land. And crash the game for some reason.
Oh no.
Don't know what was wrong with that. I think I did that right, so yeah, again, I don't know if my console is just stressed or what. Because I don't think that looks like it could have been something I made a mistake on. But I don't know that I made any mistakes there. It felt pretty much right on, so I'm not sure. I'll try one more time, though. Or maybe one or two more times. And then if that doesn't work, we can switch over to practice hack.
Good thing we have the save and file.
I'm gonna get my money's worth practicing this door skill. Nice, Kev. That's early again. I'll probably land. Oh yeah, that was perfect.
Nice.
to listen for that bomb sound when you off screen there. I kind of visualize doing the double bomb jumps when she's on screen. It's kind of weird, even though you can't see the bomb. You kind of visualize where it would have been, you know. So if you think you fell to the right, you might want to wait a minute before you turn left, just in case you don't want to hit that transition block. Just going to try to kind of hightail it this time. Don't know if that's going to help, probably not, but... This should be 3. This should be 4th. That's a half. I love that you're just out here in this nature thunderscape kind of, setting, doing this. Just out here with the wind and rain.
Out of all the rooms you could be staring at for this out of bounds movement, this is one of the better ones.
I love it, yeah. No distracting trumpets. I don't know, yo. Well, sorry.
That's not good.
I'm just gonna finish this in practice hacks. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks for even doing this. This is one heck of a run to try to do in a marathon setting.
It's all good. I'm gonna turn on the tile viewer here. Sorry, Zany, I didn't see that until I'd already sort of turned it off. One should not work here, too. Shouldn't even say that out loud. I think I still got to do these traversals here. I don't know if like all the stuff before that changed something, but I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of why it wouldn't work. Other than my console just hates me right now. But that particular crash was pretty consistent, so I want to say it was something that's causing it. Besides the console or, firmware or whatever it may be.
Yeah, if it happens at the same spot twice in a row.
Yeah.
Somebody suggested earlier that maybe there's a chance of the sprite patch messing with something, or, but I don't know. Like that probably shouldn't be touching like collision banks or banks that touch out of bounds. But I guess it's maybe possible that something.
I was even having problems with the practice hack too. Crashing.
Gotcha.
But we can recover way quicker with the practice hack.
Yeah.
You can see X-ray writing stuff here. So yeah, I don't know. Now, one little difference between the practice hack and the actual game that you might notice is this prismatic spray on the screen. Normally it would just be a black screen instead of that really colorful whatever it is. Now from here on console, if you just drop down like the tutorial on the Wikipedia shows, you'll fall into, and Chabo does talk about this, you will fall into what are shown on the script that he's using to show the blocks. It's like a pink grid of blocks, and he was talking about how they're garbage blocks and that they can be things on console. So yeah, you have to not just fall straight down here, and a screen and a half when you fall will have potentially crash blocks on it too. So I'm going to fall down straight down. You want to press right out of this, so you can press R to trigger the suit collection, and then from this point you do not want to press left. You press right, you tap right, and then what I do is I fall down and screen in half, unmorph, and then fall to the left. That should get me out of the crash block stuff, or keep me from crashing at least. And then bomb jump out of there. Now I found a different exit out of this room to do the tutorial that Chabo, or the sort of documentation there, does not include this. This was new that I found, because the documentation says to go to the left here, or go to the right and do some other stuff, but I found this exit out of the room. It kind of takes you to the same place, and I think it depends a little bit on how long you x-ray. Sometimes on some of the previous x-rays, maybe the long one down. But yeah, bomb jump up into the left into these transition blocks, and then you kind of sometimes you have to extend your hitbox to escape the ceiling there, and then again you want to angle shot this door to open it, and then sort of try to down grab this, so just sort of spam left and down, and it should get you out of there. And from this point, we have to do this again, because we're wanting to go to Norfair here, but we don't want to pick up super, so this is basically the only way we have to get to Norfair without picking supers up. Oops. Oh my god, I'm already overestimated. I didn't see that until now. Well, I mean, Zinni, if you want me to skip ahead at any point, I can go through this to the sort of the highlights here. Some of this is just traversal or something we've already seen before. Again, getting back to the tube here, we have seen already. Alright, well.
Nice.
Thanks. The second one is so hard to time. Alright, you know what? Same thing, bunny hop left and then to the right.
Man, bomb jumping without being able to see the bombs or Samus some of the time. That's crazy.
Yeah, now you can see what I see. I was doing that sort of the way you normally would, and you can't see some of the time. But yeah, we've seen that before. I'll turn on the tile viewer when we get to the next out of bounds.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I do need to save and reset the game for that for the extra climb. The next out of bounds, you have to do that to clear, or I guess reset the out of bounds to where you want it to be. If you just go there right now, it's gonna be wrong, and you're not gonna. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do an 11 screen X-ray climb twice in a row.
Yeah, generally speaking, whenever we're in really big rooms, like landing site or tall rooms like climb or something like that, those big rooms write tons of data to the out of bounds areas, whereas like a smaller room, much less so.
You really do not want to grab that A-tank for the same reason you don't want to grab supers. So definitely have to avoid that E-tank.
Alright, we got high jump a second time, so I'm supposed to remind you to save here, right?
That is correct. So again, this is just to go to the attract screen and reset the out of bounds.
Oh, we used the attract demos to make out of bounds how we want it? That's clever.
I think so. Or just like the opening of the... I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just a flushing of sorts. I'm not really sure. I could be wrong about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, resetting it'll just clear all the memory. It'll just zero it out, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. Alright, now we're just going to do a quote-unquote normal X-ray climb setup here. I'll take Morphball off because that's going to be tough otherwise. Yeah, you want to take Morphball off typically for a long X-ray climb, because if you especially if you're doing a blind, you can't see if she actually extended up. And if you press down again to crouch, then you will Morphball and then you're soft locked to the wall. But yeah, this is like a 5 or 6 minute X-ray climb, so not sure what we can talk about here. We also have to run to the right for a couple minutes after that.
I can take a moment to plug. What's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can take a moment to plug the other 0% category, which is a task-only category that beats the game using arbitrary code execution without picking up any items at all. And the reason why I wanted to mention it is because earlier we were talking about the space-time instability and the video chip accessing memory, and that sometimes causing this weird edge case where the open bus read will get a non-zero value, and then that causes the crash. Well, in the task version of 0%, that is actually used intentionally. We cause the processor to try to execute instructions from open bus, and then the run uses a bunch of BTOMs to manipulate the timing of exactly when that happens, so that the CPU tries to fetch instructions at the same time the video chip accesses memory, and that exact same effect that causes instability on a real console is used to actually control what instructions get executed and achieve full arbitrary code execution that's used to beat the game. So that exact same that exact same effect that's like this weird edge case that most emulators don't even implement is also important for
been having a weird problem with my network adapter on my streaming computer as well. So everything that has been going wrong decided to, of course, go wrong. I mean, I am playing the game extensively right while I'm doing this and streaming, so not that that's too weird, but unfortunate.
I hope that didn't interrupt your count for the X-ray climbs.
Oh, it's okay. She'll just kind of spin in the same spot when she's done. You'll be able to see it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. You can kind of mindlessly X-ray her.
That's good.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that's the only time I've ever seen Windows Troubleshooter fix a problem legitimately. I mean, I haven't had that many. I haven't been like a technician or anything, but I was shocked. Not this time, but it's happened. I did that the last time I did that, which was recently. This just started happening recently, and I tried the Windows Troubleshooter and it fixed it. And I was like, whoa! But unfortunately,
yeah, I don't think I've ever had that experience.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't fix it permanently, apparently. I mean, it's possible that I just need a new streaming computer. This one's, I think, 8 years old or something. Alright, we still got another wrap at least. Should be getting kind of close. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, Prof. I don't know if I would have chosen this to happen, but there is kind of a cool aspect to it. There's a silver lining. I think I'm there. Yeah, look, actually, yeah. Oh god, that's laggy. We're just gonna run right.
That's the downside to the practice hack tile viewer.
Yeah. You just run right here until, and it's just like a little ledges here. That there's nothing really to crash you.
Yeah. to answer the question of what are we trying to do, we're trying to create a god block that will remove all of Samus's major items. So that will let us get our percent down to 1%. We still have a missile pack. And then if we watch the intro cutscene of the game, that takes away our missile pack because the game gives Samus missiles for the little demo where she fights Mother Brain and then takes them away again. And that's how we get all the way down to 0%.
You want to just head right here until the screen starts wrapping again. The camera moves, that is. Right now the camera is fixed to the right side of the room. And it should be near when we get to the top of the screen here. So a couple more reps. Okay, thank you, Zenny. Thank you, everybody, as well. Sorry about that. I was wondering if I should have made a greater estimate, but I mean, of course, I'm always the eternal optimist, and thought, well, maybe I'll just crush it. I don't know. I was worried about being too far underestimate as well, you know. 'Cause...
Yeah, what if the runner after you is not ready?
Exactly. Well, I was wrong. There's 2 reps. I have another rep left still. This part always reminds me of Rocky 4, when Ivan Drago's training and just running around their little Russian gym over and over again. Oh, here we go.
Ooh.
And then you run until... should be here. You run until our feet are at the bottom of the ceiling. I'm actually going to save state here, since I have that ability. I think the tutorial says to go up this way, but I found a faster way to bomb jump up this. And you can barely see your feet, but you go to the second tile on the ceiling from the left. And we gotta turn morph ball. I'll just go ahead and turn the sprites on so you can see. But you do 2 screen wraps with bomb jumping, and then you're going to come out of the screen again and roll to the right onto a platform. And that's going to save you this area of bomb jumping. And if you fail the bomb jump near the top, you just fall down here. And from this point,
nice.
my strategy is just to do a double bomb jump. So, and then hold right at the end of it. And the bottom of this black area in the background is my first bomb cue. You just hold right out of that, and that puts you where you want to be. And you can pick up the tutorial or the documentation that Chabo wrote on the Wikipedia after that. So turn off high jump, do a full bunny hop to the right, X-ray turn to the left, I believe. Well, I got a save state, so I can fix this if it goes wrong. X-ray turn to the left, jump turn to the right. Think. Alright, and you X-ray down until 2/3 of the screen is flashing. You can let go. And my method for doing this is to run to the right. You have to do this platforming without seeing your character coming up. But it's not that bad once you get the hang of it. And I think it's not bad at all, really. I don't really have a problem with it. What I do for this first one is maybe a little tricky, but I run to the right, and as soon as she goes off screen, I kind of let go of everything. And then you turn around and do a bomb jump to the right. Unmorphed is fine. You tap right twice. Then I do a jumping turnaround. You want to turn high jump on, because we're going to align against a block in the air. So you do a jumping morph, a jump morph, unmorph, and then hold left. If you don't do the jumping morph, I believe you go too high or something like that. But that will align you against the block. So when you think your apex of the jump is, you hold left briefly, and that should align you. And now you're aligned. You face to the left, the right. Unmorph bomb jump to the left. And you want to do a very quick turnaround. I'm second thinking this something. Very quick X-ray turn to the right and mid-air turn around to the left, yes. And it's got to be a very quick X-ray climb because we're about to jump in the God block, and if we do too much of an X-ray, we will start riding that block into different values, which we don't want. So at this point, I personally have a cue for this, and it's 3 beats of the song, or maybe 3/8 beats. So bump, 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 bump. Something like that. So 1, 2, extend. So you crouch, jump, and then you extend your hitbox. You crouch, jump, and you hold down and extend your hitbox. I do have high jump on, right? Yeah. Extend your hitbox at the 3rd beat. So like dut dut extend, like in the melody dun 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 dun. That's my cue. And there's going to be 2 grapple block boxes, or grapple beam block boxes. You can just hold R to get out of them. And that crashed for some reason. Oh no, I don't know why that did. Okay, well, interesting. Yeah, I can just redo this real quick. I'll do it blind this time. Because I don't know if that's I don't know if I did something wrong there, or it was just the console being weird now. Or, whatever being weird now. Not really sure what it is. Seems like it was nothing I did, because the grapple blocks were right. Or the grapple boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really odd then that it would be you get part of it right and then part of it behaves differently.
Yeah.
There's that question earlier about whether the stable Spacetime patch might change things, and I think the answer should be no, because Practice Hack has the stable Spacetime patch, and this works in practice.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be that. Okay. From this point, you X-ray turn to the right. Maybe I didn't clear that box correctly or something, or just waiting around for so long. I don't know. From this point, you're standing on a block facing left, and you want to X-ray turn to the right. And the X-ray needs to be similar to that one in the first out of bounds, when I X-ray turn from left to right on the ground before I shine sparked out and back into bounds, where it's just like a brief, maybe like 3/4 of a second or something like that, or maybe a full second. And you turn to the right, and then you head right, and you should hit a door transition out of here. And you'll see that we have 1% now. Even though we still have high jump and power bombs stuff, we can't de-equip them because we don't really have them, I guess. We do, but we don't. All right. Now we head back up to Parlor, and we're gonna do one more. We're gonna do one more door skip. Parlor. Zinni, don't be splicing my practice hack run that's already went offline. This also went offline. Oh god. so used to the high jumpless cue there. I did get the hero
Oh, come
shot
on,
though.
man.
That's the hard part.
You wouldn't want to invalidate a totally legit run.
Yeah. Well, I'll say it one more time. Sorry again for all the technical difficulties, and hope y'all still enjoyed the run and the sort of exhibition here.
Yeah, from my part, this was a blast to watch and to be a part of, and I feel like the demonstrations of all the different ways that things can go wrong just reinforces how cool of a run this is and how impressive it is to be able to pull this off.
I don't know if you have to go back down to climb every time here. Chavo mentions that it might be unnecessary, but Chavo goes down there anyway. But I need to test that actually, so I can not go down there if I don't need to. Whoops. This is the same out of bounds where we're going up to this door transition. It's a little different because you have high jump. Honestly, it makes the initial double bomb jump a lot comfier. Alright, there's one different thing here though. I'll go ahead and turn the sprites on. This door transition at the top left, you can't just hold right out of here, and I'll just go ahead and show you since I got a safe state. Because you'll hit that door transition. So you do a full bunny hop to the left instead. Alright, and you see we landed on a transition block again, but similar to the last time, we just do an auto spin jump to the right. Let go of the D-pad, and at some point unspin and turn to the left. Gonna bounce off this again. Jump to the left. We're gonna work our way. And when we start x-raying, you gotta get your PPE ready. Put on your sunglasses if your eyes are sensitive, because it's gonna get very bright in here. Alright, we're gonna roll to the right. And what I do here is I roll off. So you gotta be careful about that. So you wanna unmorph slightly after, obviously you can't see here. So you wanna unmorph after the second kind of clack of her, she's gonna clack kind of rolling off the edge of the cliff here. And then she's going to clack again with Morph Ball when she down. For this particular setup, I'm going to bounce to the left a little bit and then unmorph and stand up. So it's kind of a little bit of a feel-based thing, but it's not that bad once you practice it a little bit. So like blind, it would look like that. Alright, one thing you got to watch out here is you don't want to, well, I'll skip. I'm afraid to say something wrong there, but you want to x-ray to the left here and hold up with x-ray for what I do is I hold up for 2 seconds and then press right and hold for 1 second. And that should bring a blue screen on screen and sort of like a grid of, you'll see. So when you x-ray, you see this grid of lines, and that allows you to position yourself to a pixel-perfect position here. What you do is use x-ray to sort of stop yourself, so you tap left and then immediately tap x-ray to only move like a pixel at a time or whatever. Because once you get to the position you need to be right here, you're all the way to the left on that block. So if you tap left again, you're going to fall down and have to do the clip again and get back into the out of bounds. So from here, you X-ray, hold right, and the screen's going to turn white or orange. You go up until it changes, and you go back down to the sort of transition between those two, right before it switches to the second one. And then you hold up for like a little, almost 2 seconds about. So here we go. Up until it transitions, down until it's barely the other one, and then up for about a little less than 2 seconds. What I do is tap right to get away from the edge. So we're facing right now. We were facing right before, but I tapped right holding angle to move to the right a little bit, and I do a jumping turn around to the left. I can't turn on the sprite viewer because it won't show anything now. And then from this point, I'm going to go ahead and, well, this is fine. You do a spin jump to the right into the door, and there's a 50-50 chance the oscillator is going to take you to the wrong door. But you also need to pause. I'll wait until here to pause because we started this room on a transition block. So I almost was late on that pause. Oh, it took us to the right one. Nice. But for some reason, is this supposed to be exploding? No, this is fine, I think. This should have triggered the end of the game and Surrey Station restart. Now, I'm just going to look at the game options. Where series is... Skip series is probably somewhere. Skip intro, skip series arrival. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Skip series arrival is like the cutscene. Flying 2 series. Skip intro is probably the one that you want.
Yeah, I do want to skip the intro because it'll just... The current practice hack will just lock up on the intro. Now, gotcha. we're not gonna get our 1% removed because we won't be going through the intro cutscenes like the last Metroids in Captivity thing. I think you already explained that, right? Why that takes away your missile pack?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna end the game on 1% this way, but if the intro worked on the practice hack, we would get to 0% here with this method.
You can always use the equipment menu to take away the missile pack as the intro would have.
Yeah, I mean... Oh, I like the way you think. Do I not have power bombs? Oh, yeah. Gotta blow up this door. Optimal. It's kind of funny how power bombs will blow up these doors. I don't think it could be any faster for these other ones, but for the one where you're going down, I think it should be faster. I like the crazy background here if you X-ray. And the weird thing is this crazy background turns into a different background when when Ridley flies off. Oh, you're actually supposed to take it
because it changes graphics modes.
Yeah. I should have hit the crab to lower my health, but I forgot to do that. Also, the room leaving crabs there right before we saved. See, it hasn't changed graphics mode yet, I guess. But at some point when Ridley swoops in, it doesn't interrupt, but it turns into this weird yellow and, I don't know, something gradient color. It's really cool. Love that.
Wow.
And this is basically the end of the run. We're just gonna get to Zebby's and immediately go back into the ship and fly off. Assuming that it set the escape trigger correctly. I'm not taking anything for granted at this point in this run. Yeah, you don't. I think you can just tap down. I don't think she actually has to come out of her facing forward position either. I think you can just mash down here. The final optimization.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Hey.
Nice.
Thank you huge thanks once again for helping. I'm really glad I got you to help, because I always underestimate how hard it is to explain stuff thoughtfully and also play.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. It was a lot of fun to be a part of this. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you all for your patience. I don't know if you want to watch the credits here or not, but you're welcome to turn it off.
We got to see the 0%.
I would be more inclined to want to see the 0% if I didn't feel like I cheated to get here. I mean, I did everything that you have to do, but and it was, I swear, like, a lot of these crashes, I have no idea what's going on with this setup that's making it crash like that. There were some that were just inexplicable, and I don't think the Varia, like our artificial Varia crashes, I don't think I did anything wrong there. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. You know, I don't have too much to say about GCC. I remember just thinking that GCC was super chill, and seeing him, he often came into my chat and stream, and this is a very friendly person and likable person to interact with in my experience. I didn't have any direct interactions that I can remember, so that's why I don't have too much to say. But yeah, it's so sad to hear though, because I really liked. I got a good feeling from them, you know? It's one of those vibes you pick up from people. They're just chill or whatever. So. Thank you for the GGs, if I didn't say that already. Yeah, I could definitely see that too, Zenny.
Yeah, one of the things Zenny mentioned earlier in his intro is that, you know, GCC's first interaction with the community was in making YouTube videos that got attention about how some of these glitches and tricks in these more obscure corners of the game worked, and that he got, there was some pushback from the community. People were like, this stuff's already known, why is he making a video and getting attention from it? Like, why is that fair? But the reality of the situation is that there was this knowledge that people in the community had that only existed in their brains or in random years old Discord conversations somewhere or something like that. And what GCC did was to take that information that was siloed away and make it publicly accessible and document things. And so I really appreciate you and Chabo and Total and everybody else who's worked on this category and on taking those the weird things of it that aren't well known or that don't get well known outside of some niche group of people, and then presenting it in a showcase or in a video or on a wiki page or something like that. Like that's what it takes to get the next generation of players interested in this game and able to pick up on where you guys left off with stuff like this. So thank you so much for doing this showcase. And I think that the best way we all can honor GCC's legacy is by continuing in that tradition of taking what we know about this game and the things that we figured out and teaching it to people.
Well said. I love that. I do want to say one more thing real quick, and is thank you, Zenny, for putting this on. And enjoy the rest of it.